If you're like me, you have a list of people you need to gift this season: dads, grads, weddings, and memorials to loved ones. I usually give gift cards, but along with that, I like to include a little personalized gift, something that they can open and remember. I'm using IOD's new molds. They are beautifully made and perfect for all the people I know in my tiny little farm town. These molds are called Horse and Hound, Village Market, and Olive Crest. After dusting these molds with cornstarch, I cast them with IOD air dry clay and then popped them into the freezer. I removed each piece carefully and decided how I wanted to arrange them on the IOD gallery boards. Because I wanted a decoupaged background, I decided to put these back into the freezer until I was ready to glue them to my projects. Took a photo of my initial arrangement so that I could remember where all the pieces went later, but I ended up rearranging them anyway, and I'm really happy with the way they turned out. These molds are versatile and can go with any project, any theme, any gift. I'm painting the brightest white I know of to go underneath the decoupage paper so that it does not change the color. That would be Daydream Apothecary's Ground Control. It's the brightest white out there. To take care of my Daydream Apothecary's brushes so that I protect my investment as well, I clean them with DIY brush soap, dry them, and then put an elastic around them so that the bristles are ready to go for my next painting. Now I'm using a tool to fold the papers where I want to size them for the gallery boards. I cut them, and then I'm going to coat the boards with liquid patina from DIY. Then I will brush the papers from Decoupage Queen with DIY's liquid patina, and then give them again a finishing coat. That way they're protected, and anything during the rest of this project, I can wipe it back because now these papers will be sealed. I do a lot of smalls and mixed mediums, so I keep all of my decoupage paper scraps in an IOD stamp envelope. They're perfect for keeping them protected. The first project I'm putting together is for our niece who's graduating and going off to college. I made this key holder, jewelry holder, plaque for her to take with her. I'm using IOD's molds that I put in the freezer, so I have to be really careful. And I'm carving out a place to put an acorn on top of the IOD frame mold. We have beautiful oak trees throughout our valley and into our foothills, and the indigenous people in our area, the Yokuts, gathered them, the acorns, ground them, leached out the acids, and then made them into like a flatbread. It was their main food source, so I love using the acorns as an accent for local art. Around the frame of the gallery board, I'm using the rest of the glue from my plate that I glued on the molds. I'm mixing in Daydream Apothecary's C'est La Vie with some IOD slip that I made from my IOD air dry clay. All the little crumbs and scraps, I keep them in a jar and make a slip with water out of them. So I have the mixture of IOD clay slip, paint, and the rest of my glue, and I'm using a stencil border and making a raised stencil. While that's drying, I'm moving on to the set of 3 farm animals from the Village Market mold. I'll be putting these in my booth at Rocky Hill Antiques in Exeter, California, to demonstrate how easy it is to make personalized gifts or local art. I first painted all the molded pieces with DIY's paint in a neutral color, and now I'm dry brushing with the new one-step cottage color. This is white linen, and it's going to seal off those places so that when I do my waxing later, you'll see that rich wax, but also the white won't be saturated with the wax. So now I'm sealing with DIY Big Top, and I saved the waxing for the very last step. Now while that's all drying in assembly line fashion, I'm giving the raised stencil plaques a coat of DIY weathered wood. I watered it down and let it dry. Now I'm lightly sanding to get the look I want. You can distress as little or as much as you want, but I'm sanding it back to reveal that raised stencil effect. Once I do that, I make sure all the paint particles are dusted away, and then I seal it with DIY's Big Top. To apply the photos to the DIY frames, I first printed them out on my laser printer with regular laser paper. I made some templates to go with the molds out of the IOD thin mounts, and I use those as patterns when I'm cutting out my photos. Now I'm giving the mold a coat of liquid patina, pressing in my photo, and then another coat of liquid patina. When that's completely dry, I'm going to give these photos some shine with a product I just started using called Diamond Glaze. Diamond Glaze is a no-mix formula that seals and makes things really shiny, like jewelry and photos. This photo happened to have a lot of yellow-green in it, so I'm using a piece of the new IOD transfer to blend in with the photo. The new transfer I'm using is called Whispering Willow. I can't wait to use some of the other watercolored components. It's just gorgeous. My decoupage paper was already sealed, so I can apply the transfer right on top of it using the stick that comes with your transfer. Then I sealed it again with Big Top before moving on to my next step. Next, I dug through some of my mixed media components and found a nameplate for the plaque, as well as some wings and a little message for my memorial plaque. That one will go to my daughter, who recently lost someone very special in her life. Drilling little holes for the hooks and gluing down all the components. The last step is the most exciting. I'm using DIY's dark wax, and I'm brushing into all the little details and wiping it back with cheesecloth as well as Q-tips. I'm careful to get around all those little details in the IOD molds. This video contained lots of little techniques and a lot of different supplies, but I'm hoping to inspire you to look through your supplies and make something special for someone in your life. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I finished up on the trio of farm animals. First, I sanded the frames back because I wanted some of the raw wood to be exposed for when I do my dark waxing. I stamped the personalization using the IOD letterpress stamps and IOD black ink. I forgot though, when I exposed the raw wood, it did bleed a little bit through the grain, so I had my heat gun ready and dabbed off the extra ink. When the ink was completely dry, I sealed it with DIY Big Top and then let that dry completely before I did my final waxing with DIY's dark wax. Now, if you didn't have everything sealed properly, you would probably want to use the clear wax first so that the dark wax didn't overtake the color. If you get too much of your dark wax a look, you can always use the clear wax as an eraser to wipe back some of that pigment. For the paints, the molds, the clay, the decoupage papers, you can contact your local stockist or visit my website, fruitfullifestudio.com. Fruitful Life Studio is located inside Rocky Hill Antiques in Exeter, California. Thanks for watching and happy creating.